We are going to talk about movement in drawing. So I was going to show you, this is what we're making today. We're making a fun little sea turtle. I always think of, for some reason, I only think of sea turtles in the summer, and I don't know why, because I'm sure I know they exist, but usually in the summertime is when I think of sea turtles. And so in our picture, it looks like we have our turtle, we did a little bit of patterning in the shell, and then also these wavy lines. And the wavy lines are to show movement. So kind of like waves in water, or like if the turtle is moving through the water. So movement in drawings is a way to show action. And so we are going to draw our little turtle today. And so I'm gonna change over to some blank paper. Okay, so we're gonna start with, of course, we always start with the big shapes first, right? So the shell, the head, and his fins, his little feet, I guess. Are they fins? Not fins. His little flippers. He's got, we just called him hands and feet the other day. But anyways, he's got his little flippers, front legs, back legs. And so we'll do those first before we get into any of those details, which is all the small parts of our drawing. So I started with the head, and I kind of gave myself this like triangle. See, it's not quite, oops. Oh, and that's why I brought my eraser, so I can erase, because sometimes, you know, we all draw. That's the best part of it. Drawing, you can always erase your lines. So that is going to be his top of his head. And now we get the shell. So the shell, we're going to do a line across first. And if you look, it's a little wider than his head. See, his head is here, and then his kind of like his shoulders. Think of his like shoulders. And then we're going to go around and make this part kind of reminds me of when we draw hearts, right? So when we draw a heart, we have like the bottom. And then we're going to go all the way up. So this will be our little guy's shell. And even when I drew this, I might want to erase, maybe adjust the shell, right? You can always do that. So this is the back, and then we're going to add his front flip. So his front flippers are like he's swimming, and they kind of reminding me like two big arcs. So we're going to make one flipper like this. And I'm going to add a little point. Well, then we got to connect it back to his shell. So this is his first one. Now we're drawing the same exact shape, but we're going to draw it on the opposite side. So same line, we're going to draw that big arc and come down. And then go back up and connect to the side of the shell. Got two of those, and then I think we should go back and draw the back flippers. Now the back flippers are the same kind of shape where they're a little rounded, right? Because he's swimming. And then I wanted to give him some little toes, so I just made some little wavy lines, kind of look like his toes. And then I'm going to do the same shape, so that same small arc with a little wavy toes, but we're doing it on this side. So same thing, so we'll do this little arc. We're going to give him some little wavy toes. And you know, I'm looking at him like I might want to make him a little bigger. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to erase this line. So that's why I love drawing, is because you can always change what you're working on. You don't have to make it be quite exact. And then maybe this one, I'm going to make this side a little bigger too. I'm going to erase that line. And now we've got his legs. Okay, so we got the big parts, right? Head, front flippers, we got the back flippers. and the gigantic turtle shell. Okay. So I think we are ready to start drawing all those details. We're going to start from the head and we're going to go down. So I'm going to give my turtle some eyes. So I'm going to give him little round little bumps on the side of his face, kind of like he's swimming. So I can't really see all of his eyes, right? I just see from the top down. So I'm only going to see like a little bit of his eyes. I'm going to do him like that. We also want to give him a little nose. So a lot of times little fish and turtles and like sea creatures will have these little teeny holes, right? They don't have big, huge nostrils. So we're going to give them little teeny ovals. Really teeny tiny. And this is the fun part. Now we're going to move to his back and we want to give him kind of like a thick shell. So you've seen turtles, a lot of times they have like an edge, like a divided edge, and then they have the shell, like the bumps or, you know, the three-dimensional part on their shell, the hard part of the shell. So I am actually following the same shape. I'm just following along the same shape that I made. So you're just kind of repeating this shape, but you're just making it smaller. So got that part on the inside. And then I'm going to go through, if you've ever seen turtles, tortoises, they have these little kind of lines and kind of breaks. Not breaks, but they're just these like indents in their shell. So I'm going to go ahead and add those. You can add as many as you want. I spaced mine pretty far apart. You could put yours really close together. Okay, so those are his little parts of his shell. Now this was the part I wanted. Sometimes these shells look like, so they look like a hexagon. So they kind of look like that. But I figured out an easier way to do this because I was like, how do we make those all in there? So first I'm going to make a big zigzag. Okay, so I made the zigzag first. And then I drew like a little line. And then on these little points, we're going to do another little line. And then this part, we're going to do another big zigzag. So if you start here and then go out and go back, you've kind of made those shapes just by making those zigzags. And then same thing here, we can do one more. So I'm going to again do that little line. And then I can't fit all of it, right? I'm just going to be able to fit a little bit. So I can only fit a little bit of that in there. Now you've got the back of your shell. And get the fins. Okay, on the fins, I also drew a little bit of, I wanted to make it have like a little bit of texture. So it's texture is like something you can see or feel. And so I just did a couple of these little lines. And especially we talk about like when you do cartoon drawings, you know, it's not necessarily realistic. You just want some of the lines that look like they might be there on a real turtle. So I'm doing the same thing, same lines on the bottom fins. So I got 1, 2, do another one on the side, same thing, 1, 2, so we've got 2. We are almost finished getting this part in. Okay, so the sea turtle, now we have to decorate it. So we're gonna add different types of patterns. So always my favorite pattern is a spiral. I love the way spirals look. You can put as many as you want. I'm gonna put one, maybe I'll put a little one right here, 2, then another one right here. spirals, and then we talk about movement. So I'm going to actually add some little wavy lines in one of the shell pieces. Maybe some wavy lines down here. And then I could leave these empty or I could fill them. So I'm going to leave this one empty and I'm going to fill this one with a zigzag. And the bottom one, I might leave, you know what? I think I'm going to add polka dots. Polka dots are one of my favorite patterns to draw. I use them all the time. I like polka dots. Now let's see, we've got the shell and his little fins. Now we need to add the movement. We need to make it look like our sea turtle swimming. So he's swimming around. So I kind of started down in the bottom and my turtle's going this way. So I wanted my lines to go this way. So it looks like he's moving through water. And I started in the corner and I just made a wavy line. I think you can see it if I move it. So I started in the corner with a wavy line. And then I kind of spaced it out and I went and made another wavy line. But remember, I need to make the line go behind the fin. So I don't want to draw on top. I want to go behind the fin and keep going. And then I'm going to do another one. But same thing, right? I don't want to go across the fin. I want the line to be behind. And then I'm just going to, same thing, behind the shell, right? We want to draw through the shell. And if we keep going, we still have all this part. So I'm going to start at the top and draw a wavy line. And it is going to probably come out maybe over by his fin. And then I've got one more little empty spot. So I'm going to fill that up and I'll do one more wavy line. So now he's kind of swimming through the water. And I always think of, you know, anything that's underwater, I always think of like the bubbles that they make, you know, when they're swimming. So I added some bubbles and you can put them in the white, you know, the white spaces. So I usually make a circle and then I make a couple tiny ones because, you know, sometimes when bubbles go up, you get a big one and then you get a bunch of little ones. And I'm just going to add these in different parts of my picture. So this part's kind of up to you. You can put them wherever you want. You don't have to put them exactly where I'm putting them. I move it. I add some down here. And then maybe I haven't added any down here, so I might add some down over here. And then finally, I've got one little empty space. So I'm going to kind of put one right here. Let's see. So these are all my bubbles. We've got bubbles. We've got our nice pattern. All the bubbles, his little fins. The top, we're seeing the top view of our turtle, right? We're not seeing the underneath, we're seeing from the top down. And then the only other thing is if you happen to have markers, colored pencils, you can always go through and color your picture. Today, for some reason, I just thought I would do outlines. And I don't usually do that, but I thought, well, maybe just outlining or tracing on top of my pencil line might be good enough. It still adds some color, but I didn't completely cover it. So that's what I would do for these ones and just add, maybe go through and add little lines to my bubbles. Little tiny bubbles. We'll fill those little guys in. And I could probably keep going. Okay,